Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us today to celebrate Mother's Day here in the Locker Room. I'm Alan Locher. Real-life husband and wife duo Jordi and Kaitlin Vilasuso are the parents of three beautiful girls, Riley, Everly, and almost 6-month-old Lucy, who was hospitalized back in January with RSV, but is doing well today. We will hear what Mother's Day is like in the Vilasuso household from these very busy parents and what they each learned from their own moms. 24 years ago this August, Jordi made his debut as Tony Santos on Guiding Light, winning a Daytime Emmy Award in 2003 for Outstanding Young Actor. Jordi will look back at his time working in Springfield, Pine Valley, Salem, and Genoa City, and he will tell us about his new role as Justin Ramos on the Bay. Stay tuned at the end as I share some of the messages you at home shared with me about mothers, what Mother's Day means to you, and your introduction to soaps from your moms. Please help me welcome my pal, Jordi Vilasuso, to the Locker Room. Hello there, my friend.
Oh man, hearing you go through all that history, 24 years.
Does that blow your mind?
Blows my mind. Blows my mind. It's crazy. It's
Yeah.
Wow.
A lot of life has happened in those 24 years, hasn't it?
Oh yeah. A lot of life in this household. Yeah, a lot of beautiful life. I'm surely feeling very blessed. 100%.
That's awesome. I will say we will bring out Kaitlin in a little while. I wanted to talk to you first. I loved the breaking news this week about your new role on the Bay. How did that come about?
So Gregory and I have been very friendly for years. I believe he started on All My Children, and we had touched base throughout the years. The guy has more parties in LA than I could like literally run my social life by just going to his parties.
I wish I lived there because I've been invited to a few.
I mean, they're every other week, and I'm like, oh, I would love to, but I got a soccer game or I haven't slept or what have you. But anyhow, he through Samantha's friends, which I was at this weekend, which is charity with through Alice and Samantha Boza, which I've been going to for over, I would say like 6 years now. We met. We didn't meet. We had a really long conversation about me joining the Bay and his ideas and what he wanted me to do, and I was all for it. I love the character. I love what they're doing with the show, and that's my bread and butter, soaps. So
he does a great job. He is quite the passionate storyteller and producer, and loves the genre.
Yes, 100%. And the fact that they've done now, I believe, like over 9 seasons. I think this is their 9th season, keeping the genre alive. I have had a lot of experience in the genre, and this is going to be fun. This is going to be, the character is something that I really haven't played, which is like a businessman who's keeping his company Romantica afloat and really propelling it into more success with this launch of a new fragrance. So I think that's all I can really say right now.
That's great. But you're going to be reunited with your Days co-star, the one and only A. Martinez.
Yes, Papa A. God, I love that guy. He's just such a.
He is an incredible human being.
He's so like. I look at him sometimes. I'm like, wow. Like you meet people and you're like, this is like. He's a very settling energy, very like peaceful. He's almost like you talk to him and you feel like you're going into like a mystical realm, like you're dealing with a sage who has so much wisdom and just a lot to learn from. And when I was on Days, I really appreciated our time together. So yeah,
what was it like working opposite him?
Easy, like easy, like you knew where he was coming from in terms of like wanting to do the work, and it felt very just easy. Like that's the kind of those are the kind of people, that kind of energy, that kind of collaboration. Like, sit in my room running lines. Like, no, I mean, that guy has been on work forever, and he can do whatever he wants, but he still very much so cares about the work and what he's doing, which I aspire to
And
do.
that Jordi is a daytime legend.
Yes, 100%, 100%.
He
And the
is.
guy is working. He's still working so much. It's amazing.
Yeah,
Amazing.
it really is. And to know somebody that nice, you know,
Yeah,
um,
like authentic, like very
yeah,
genuine. It's a real thing, and it's like, wow, this it's not put on at all. So I really appreciate that.
yeah, agreed. When do you start?
Next week on Wednesday,
Yeah. Oh,
Thursday.
wow,
Yeah, and it's
great.
right here. It's in my hood. It's in Burbank, which I'm like, oh, that's perfect. Like,
That makes it easy. Well, you also just filmed The Boulevard with two great gentlemen,
yes,
Vincent Irizarry and Adam Huss. I've
yeah,
known Vincent since I was like 19, maybe 20. Crazy.
yeah.
Um, did you get to work with both of them?
Oh no, I didn't get to work with either one of them,
Oh, bummer.
unfortunately. But I got to talk to them, and I got to talk to Adam quite a bit, and he's
He's a
just
good human. I didn't know him as well. He did my show, and I respect him so much. I really appreciated
yeah.
our
We
time.
actually had worked with a director, um, a guy by the name of James Cotton, who directed me in a movie called The Line or La Linea with Andy Garcia and Ray Liotta, and he had worked with him. I guess he's from his hometown, and he had worked with him before, so we were able to talk about that and talk about James, um, and also like just where like our careers have gone in terms of the many different genres that we've worked in, and always like Vincent's like family. Like, I love, like, whenever I get to see him, it's like a breath of fresh air. Like, I love him. Like, I love
Yeah.
hearing about
I
his
mean,
family.
we keep talking another legend in daytime. My
Yes,
God.
yes, 100%. Um, but unfortunately, yeah, like my character kind of is. I think it's a big reveal. My character, so he
Okay.
kind
Yeah.
of.
Any update on when the Boulevard's coming?
No, it was a pilot. I think they're shopping it around as these things go.
Okay.
But yeah, Michelle Romano, actually, she came and offered me the role. She produced a short that I did years ago, called "This Modern Man Is Beat," which won so many awards. And she just came to me, and I was looking to work after this strike. I was like, yes, let's rock and roll. Like, I want to work, and it worked out really well.
Well, as we both said at the beginning, 24 years ago this August, when you think back on the actor you were when you first arrived in Springfield, if you could give that guy one piece of advice right now, what would that be?
Um, I'll never forget Brian Murdes, who was one of the directors.
Mhm.
Kind of handed my butt to me one time, and I've never forgotten it. And he said, "Listen, man, you're great, but never take this work for granted. Like, come prepared," because he could see me slipping. And
Because you were enjoying your time in New York City and you were young.
I was 19. I had George Alvarez playing my brother, who used to be a bartender at Studio 54, had done all the soaps, and he was, just introducing me to the who's who in town, and I was really enjoying it. But my priority was always the work, and I think it's yeah, I just don't think you can ever take this work for granted. I think you always have to be appreciative of when you do get work. It's uh it's becoming more and more apparent to me, like, just how, you know how special it is to work in this medium that we do. and I really enjoy it. So I just never take it for granted. Always appreciate it, and yeah, that's what I would say. I would say stay grounded, never take it for granted, and really just always be prepared.
Have you spoken to George?
We touch base like twice a year. Like he'll send me a text. He'll see something. Like he hit me up when he found out we were in the hospital with Lucy, and yeah, we stay in touch. Definitely, he's the one. He's really the one guy besides you that I really just from that time in my life I really stay in touch with. Yeah.
I just saw Sandra posted she cut her hair really short. She looks great.
Oh, great. Yeah. I mean, I saw Sandra here about maybe 5 years ago. And we both went to Andy Garcia's Halloween party that he throws every year. And we had a ball. You know, seeing her is like seeing family, you know, it's amazing.
Absolutely. Sherry says, we miss you and the Rosales family on Y&R. Do you keep in touch with anyone?
Yeah. Sasha just wrote me congratulating me on the show. Jason, I keep in touch with. Noemi, I mean, all of them. Yeah, I keep in touch on Instagram and the various socials. But yeah, I do keep in touch with them.
It makes it a little easy, doesn't it? Isn't it? Yeah. So, you know, even thinking back to those 24 years ago we were just talking about, isn't it the different? You know, I am thrilled that social wasn't around and I would have to deal with that and a cast of 30 actors. But
yeah,
do you like sort of the connection it has brought, the instantaneous?
Yeah, I like Instagram a lot. Like Instagram's the easiest for me, and it feels to me like the least threatening to absorbing my time. I mean, I've messed with TikTok and I'm just like, whoa. Like,
yeah, it's too much. I don't get it. I don't know how to do it really.
And the X is just like, okay, I'll look for like, but then I just get sick to my stomach. So I'm just like, I really like Instagram. I like keeping in touch with everybody through that. And now, you know, no, Riley's not, but Riley has a phone. So, you know, every day I'm like, what are you doing on your phone? You know, you hear all these things. So, you know, I'm really paying attention to that. She's such a good kid. Like
11, right? Riley's 11.
She's 11. Wow. And she doesn't have really anything on her phone besides YouTube. But even that, you're like, what are you doing on your phone? Like, watch YouTube on the TV. Don't watch it on your phone.
I can't imagine in 2 years you will have a teenager, Jordi.
It's like already happening, man. She's already like developing, and it's heartbreaking. Wow. It's heartbreaking. It's really hard for me to accept and just, you know, but yeah, we talk about it on the daily and just
enjoy every second, you know, you have, you know. So Tony Santos, Dr. Griffin Castillo, Dario Hernandez, Ray Rosales, and now your 2 new roles. Is there one that is the most like Jordi Vilasuso?
Oh, I would say Ray was definitely, as I've gotten older and more of you know, become more of a mentor of sorts and had to kind of gain some responsibility, the way that he looked out for his family. I wear that hat a lot in my own ways, checking in with my wife and my kids and also my own family. Tony, at that time, for sure. I mean, Tony was like probably one of like top 3 favorite characters I've ever played. Like, so fun. Like, just that time in my life was just like, what a gift.
And they wrote him well. You know, they wrote Tony well.
I mean, you look at those shows, it was just such a fun time in daytime. They don't do stuff like that anymore. It was just, man, it was so fun.
I mean, moves at a pace that I couldn't imagine.
And you had all those mafia stories. You had Sopranos happening at the same time.
That's
And
true.
then, you had the GH mafia, and then you had the Santos family. And it was fun. It was really fun. I remember I was just telling somebody, like, the first show that I did, I had, like, on Guiding Light, I had stunts. I had to shoot 2 guns. I had to jump off a balcony or a dock. I got beat up by Danny Santos. Oh, it was amazing. Amazing. It's so fun.
Paulie, I haven't talked to Paulie in a while. I have to
Yeah.
check in with him. If you could go back and play one of them, would it be Ray or Tony?
It'd be Tony all day. I would love to see what's happened to Tony these
Wow.
years, like where he's, what he's become and all that. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
That's awesome. I love that. This summer, you and your wife will celebrate 12 years of marriage.
Yeah.
Before we bring her out, what's it been like watching her become a mom and being a mom to your 3 gals?
So I'm surrounded by female energy, as you know, and it's very different. I just the way that she kind of like, there's so much grace in the way that she handles our kids. There's such a calmness where I'm just like so much more reactive. I'm just, and it's something that I work on. I'm like, okay. And she'll call me out on it on the daily, but like, she's just like very easy. And the girls really respond to that. Like, just her energy, just the way, because when she says something, they're like, they listen. For me, I need to grow into that, evolve into that. But yeah, she's just got this kind of grace, this kindness, this ease to her that, thank God, because it's like, for me.
Well, I'm sure you balance each other out. That's how.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a good yin and yang. Yeah, I've learned quite a bit, and it's great. It is great, and I got to represent the males. I got to represent that male energy, like my.
And I know you have a brother. Did you have a sister as well?
I do. I have a younger sister, and
So
my brother.
It was the 3 of you, right?
Yeah, older brother, older sister. Yeah. I'm so grateful for her. I'm so grateful for the things that, the gift of my wife and the blessing of our family. It's been such a great journey, and but it's every day. It's every day, and we've worked really hard at it. We've worked really hard at kind of taking care of each other. A lot of lessons have been learned, but she's my person, and I run everything by her. She's got great instincts. And this career has had its ups. I've had my ups and downs. I've had times where there's like intimacy on set that we've learned how to handle as parents, as husband and wife. That there's things that there's a way that I have to talk about it. So she feels comfortable, and I have her read the scripts, and she signs off on everything. So yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Good.
Yeah.
I had a great question, and it just escaped me.
Happens to me all the time.
Yeah, no, I know, but there was something you said that I think steered me somewhere. I'm not going to remember. What does fatherhood mean to you at this stage in your life?
It's the most important thing. I used to think my career was the most important thing. It's the most selfless act, and I think it's made me very purposeful. It's made me very driven in terms of like, oh God, I'm getting so fucking emotional. Excuse me. In terms of the kind of man that I want to be. Excuse me. Yeah, it's.
Did you realize the moment that switched for you, like the first child, the second, because I'm sure, like, it's for a lot of us, our career does take that center stage, the
Yeah.
job.
Yeah,
And
no, and
then,
I reflected on that quite a bit, just in terms of like, you see a lot of people who have these amazing careers and they don't end up getting married till way later and have kids way later. Um, for me, it's given me. It's funny. Katie and I were talking about it yesterday, because I was auditioning for something and it was kind of challenging, um, and I've kind of wrestled with like what is it like. It just doesn't have as much value as it used to have. But she kind of put me in my place and she said, I think that's a cop out. This is what you do. You're really good at it. You have to. She's been so supportive of my career throughout my life. Like even in times when I'm between gigs and I'm like, babe, we have, children. Like, what am I doing? You're dating an actor. She's like, this is what you do. You're going to keep doing this. You've been super successful. We're going to keep at it. And I mean, I can't ask for more than that.
no, that's
From, when, and I mean, things were, she's like, no, we're going to fight through this. And we have. Fatherhood is just like, it's for me, it's what this whole thing was about. And for me, I've always like wanted to do it. Like I literally can stare at my baby all day. Like I can hold her in my arms and my hand and just like the smile, the connection that I have with her. It's so much more as you get older and not take things for granted. It's so much more apparent of how much more you appreciate it. And it's also like, yeah, this is most probably 99% going to be our last baby. So.
99%. That's amazing. But I'm sure her being hospitalized in January too is a just makes you realize, because you really don't have control at that stage.
I know, and that's really what it's about, just giving over like a lot of that control. Yeah, that was a really tough time. The hardest thing was watching this little baby, this little vulnerable being suffer, putting the feeding tube inside of her, crying, not having any real agency besides us. I do have to say Children's Hospital LA was remarkable. The care that we got there, the empathy, the kindness is incredible. Those nurses, those people at the front lines, they're just amazing. And it was funny because they would come in and go, "Oh, your baby has RSV. This is a walk in the park." And I'd be like, "Oh my God, these people must see the most brutal things from these little kids that are suffering." And that's the last.
That is a tough job.
Tough job.
You talked about the nurses. Kristen Alderson, right?
I believe so.
One Life to Live. She played Star, and then she came to General Hospital. She just had her first baby, and she just posted I think her and her mother took out the 4 nurses who took care of her because she had a very long pregnancy, and these 4 nurses were friends, but they didn't overlap with Kristen. But she took them out just to say thank you.
That's really sweet.
I thought, wow, that's really awesome.
Yeah, we Cheryl, our nurse in the NICU, we still keep in touch with her, and I think Katie's going to have lunch with her at some point. They were supposed to hook up, but yeah, Cheryl was amazing. And
that's the type of treatment we should all certainly expect.
Yeah.
When you're in, when you deal with the medical profession.
Yeah, I mean, Katie, I would sleep there most. We would switch off. I would sleep there one night, and at 4 a.m. they would come in checking the baby, and so you just become very close. These people see you like, you're rolling out of bed, you're like waking up, you're brushing your teeth in the sink. It's a lot. It's a lot, but they're angels. These people are angels at the end of the day.
I love that. Well, is Kaitlin ready to join you?
Katie?
Yes, sir.
Come on down, Kaitlin.
The price is right.
Oh, I loved that show. When I would watch Guiding Light.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's funny.
Hi.
Happy almost Mother's Day.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
My pleasure. Thank you for doing this.
I don't know if you can see her on the monitor.
Oh, yeah. There she is. Is she sleeping right now?
You might end up seeing her.
Yeah, she might.
I'm curious, Kaitlin, what did you learn about motherhood from your own mom?
Everything, right? What a great mom. I would say if I had to pinpoint one thing, it would be just her dedication to us. Her life.
Yeah, her life
has been, was always us. She was the mom that was at school, serving lunch every day, or, doing the drop off and the pickup, opening the car doors. Like, she was just always there. And I loved that. I remember how much I loved that. So I try to do that with our girls as much as I possibly can.
Mm-hmm.
And then
I'm sure you're both going in different directions.
What's that?
I'm sure you and Jordi are going in different directions because you have two girls at different ages that are probably in a lot of activities.
There's a lot going on. And the girls, I don't know if Jordi talked about it at all, but they went to a new school this year, which was awesome and so beautiful. And it's been wonderful. But when they started school, I started on bed rest. Mm-hmm. So I literally couldn't do anything at the school for, like 6 months. And then I had the baby, and then Lucy was in the NICU and all that. So I definitely haven't been as involved as I want to be. But I will be. I told everybody, I was like, next year.
You'll be back.
I'm still there. I'm just not,
Well, how is Lucy?
She's so good.
Oh.
She's an angel. She's not that Riley and Everly weren't. I feel bad when I say this. Like, baby. They were a handful, right?
Yeah.
They're the most wonderful, sweet girls, but they were a handful as babies.
Yeah.
Thus, us maybe not having a third. Remember when Evie was?
Oh, yeah. We have that video. Did I post that video?
We posted it, I think, on Making It Work at one point.
Yeah.
But yeah, he has a video of me holding Evie. Maybe she's like 3 months old.
Yeah.
And I'm going, never again. Never again. And he says, I'm recording this right now. I'm holding you to this. I'm like, never again.
Yeah.
And Lucy has just, like, with everything that she's been through, she's just so lovely. Mm-hmm. And like, she doesn't.
Well, maybe that's, that January was it. Maybe you'll have an easy ride.
Yeah, that's what everybody says. They're like, you already went through the trouble.
She gave you the hard time at the beginning.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Jordi, I was going to ask, what do you think you learned about parenthood from your mom?
Wow, my mother, same thing, always there. She left when I did my first movie, The Last Home Run, when I was like 12. She went with me. She was so supportive. They were so supportive of my career that they left the two other ones, Javi and Mariang, and she came with me to stay with me while I was doing it.
Poor Javi and Mari.
Right.
Or they loved it, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. She's just very loving, very just did whatever it took to make sure that we were taken care of. And I just remember her always like just holding my hand, just very affectionate, just very like just I try, and I feel like I do that with the kids, like in the way that she like kind of caressed my hand when I was little.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, and they instilled me.
It's sort of bonding. It sort of shows that love. Sometimes you don't have to say anything. No. But they're.
Definitely. I mean, love language, her love language, this one, if I just come by and just like rub her shoulder, she's like in heaven. Yeah. That or food, right? Yeah.
For Mother's Day, yeah.
For Mother's Day, all this one wanted was this, there's this website called Goldbelly, which can...
Have you heard of it?
I don't think so. I'm going to look it up.
It sends you like the best things from across America. The best restaurants.
So, like,
I just see cakes popping up on my computer when I type that in, so I'm gonna have to go back there after.
A lot of cakes, but for whatever reason, when I was pregnant, my thing was crab.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I found this place in Maryland that ships their crab cakes.
Yeah.
It's pricey, but I said to Jordi, I was like, I think
that's Mother's Day.
That's what I wanted. So,
which, by the way, is like your favorite holiday. Like, it's her favorite day of the year.
Yeah, you learn that the hard way the first Mother's Day.
Yeah, you've made that very.
Why do you say the hard way?
Because I think he didn't realize that it was going to be like my favorite day of the year.
Yeah.
And ever since, he's crushed it.
All right.
You
set the standard.
That's funny.
Execute this year. Well, I kind of already have.
You already have. I got the crab.
You got the crab. You're good.
The crab.
I was gonna. Will you do anything special on Sunday?
Well, we have the kids' First Holy Communion tomorrow, which is going to be amazing. Both of them are doing their First Holy Communion together, which is really lovely.
Because you're supposed to do it in second grade, but Riley didn't. She wasn't at Catholic school then.
Yeah.
So Everly's in second grade. So Riley's been joining her class like all year for the First Communion classes, which has been really sweet.
Yeah.
And they're going to do it together tomorrow.
So they're going to, and
then we're going to go to
a families in town for this?
No. And they're so sad that they're not here.
Yeah.
Like, everybody's just so busy.
Yeah.
And that West Coast thing.
You know, that's what these are for.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. A lot of that.
So that's pretty special to do it together. That doesn't happen often, right? With kids?
It's such a fluke for sure.
Yeah. It's a real.
But it's working out.
Yeah. The school's been amazing. The church has been amazing. So we're going to do that. And then we have a nice brunch planned afterwards. And just like, I mean, it's pretty beautiful. The weather here has been pretty great. So we're.
And they're 4 years apart?
They're 3.5 years apart. So
do they get along well?
It's amazing. I'll tell you, one of the silver linings of COVID, of that whole quarantine experience, was that these two were like thick as thieves. Like, they really play nice. They still play really nice together. And I'm just like, how long is this going to last? It's really nice.
Yeah, it's still, well, they're also just sweet kids.
Yeah.
So even when, I don't know, Everly can be kind of annoying for sure to Riley. Riley's 11.
Developing.
Evie can be, hormones.
Right. And Everly always like sticks
She
into
does.
it.
Evie is a lot like Jordi was when he was little.
Yeah.
For sure. A little more mischievous.
Yes. Yeah.
But Riley's such a sweet kid that she'll snap and she'll be like, I'm so sorry, Everly, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You know, like, they're just sweet girls.
Yeah.
Sisters are the best.
Yeah.
You have, yeah. But that's so interesting that, because that's 3.5 is a big age to still be close, and that's great. I mean, I'm sure you're expecting when she is that teenager, that's going to change, but.
Yeah. Some of these neighbors will let it.
Right, yeah.
They're still in the same room together. I like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. Talk to us in like a year. Let's revisit next Mother's Day, and we'll see how that's going.
Can you see if Lucy's too young, but the two oldest, if they're going to follow in Jordi's footsteps and your footsteps, acting?
Well, Everly's done a little bit. She played young Bailey in her show Pretty Little Liars, which just premiered yesterday.
Yeah.
Max, first and second episode.
Yeah. It's great. It's a very fun.
Bailey's in New York doing press for it right now.
Yeah. So
that's awesome. I know two, somebody from As the World Turns and somebody from Guiding Light, who's in this new version.
Oh.
Okay. Which one? Is it the
Sharon?
doctor?
Before, I don't know who they play. Sharon Leal, who was on Boston Legal.
What's her name?
Leal, Leal, Sharon Leal, and Jennifer Ferrin, who is on As the World.
So Sharon plays, Sharon's awesome, and she was in the first season too. She plays one of the main characters' moms.
Yes.
And she is incredible.
She's an amazing actress.
So good in it. And I told Jordi I saw her. I went to the screening the other night with Bailey.
Yeah.
And I specifically said to you how kind she was when she saw me.
That's sweet.
She's
Sharon was?
Sharon is just so kind.
She's
Like,
great.
so warm.
Jordi, did you know Ivana Kopach-Wright from Guiding Light? I don't know if she was there
Yes.
when you were there.
Yes.
You did?
Yes.
So Sharon started on Guiding Light years before Ivana, but Ivana and Sharon like grew up. They're like childhood friends, and they both ended up on Guiding Light. Different, like decades apart.
Okay.
But,
she's so beautiful too.
Yes. Very pretty.
What a beauty.
Yeah.
Gorgeous.
And then who is the other person?
Jennifer Ferrin, Ferr, an amazing actress.
So Jennifer plays. Is she the therapist?
No.
Who is she?
I don't know. I don't think
maybe
she's not in the thing.
I'm curious.
Yeah, I don't know. You know, the kids see the business.
But that's a big role. I thought you were going to tell me she was in a school play. Playing Bailey on Pretty Little Liars. That's amazing.
Yeah. Bailey Little.
Yeah, my manager had told us about the role, and this was what, 3 years ago?
Yeah, 3 years ago.
Halloween, right?
Yeah.
And we got Everly. She must have been 5, and we put her on tape. Did like 30 takes. Like, was not gonna send a bad tape.
It was Halloween though.
Yeah.
And we were like, they were waiting to go trick or treating.
Yeah. But we got her to a point where she could do it, and she hung in there, and she wanted to do it. And
we flew to New York.
Yeah.
My sister was in the scene too, which was so sweet. It was like a flashback of Bailey. So you see the scene take place, and then you see Bailey watching the scene take place. Mm-hmm. So they worked together, and it was just the cutest thing that I've ever seen in my life. Also, I don't know how my mom ever did it. I was like a wreck for her. I would remember how nervous I was.
Yeah.
Because you just don't know. They're so little. Yeah. But to think that my mom did that with my sister for the entirety of her career is crazy. Yeah. But Everly maybe comes back, maybe. I don't know. Maybe she might. I don't know.
Did she enjoy it?
But if she did, she would think that she should be on the poster. Yeah. So when she sees the billboards around town, she's like, what?
Yeah. Where am I?
Why am I not on there?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I talked to the writers about that the other night.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, I knew from a very young age, like I had to be on screen or on stage. Like I just knew. So it'll be interesting to see how they evolve. They're definitely much more. They see it much more than I did at their age. They're here. They see what Daddy and Mom do. They see what Bailey does. So
if I had to guess, I would say no.
I would say no.
Yeah. I think. I mean, right now, Evie wants to be a soccer player.
Right.
So there's that. I think which is funny, and I think people tend to do this when they grow up in the business. Sometimes you'll see then with the kids don't grow up in the business. No. And they kind of either visit it later or they just don't.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what we're doing. We still do like the occasional like family commercial or print job or whatever. But I don't know. I love that they're doing sports and being normal. I don't know.
Yeah.
Being normal.
Doing things as a family is great, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
you
true.
know, if they get paid and it goes towards their college, you know,
that's true. And that's true. I mean, Evie just wants toys, but yes.
Jordi, you just said something and it reminded me what I was going to ask because earlier, because you said something about the kids. Did you know really at a young age you always wanted children?
Yeah, I did.
Where did that come from? Was it?
I think my parents. Yeah, I've always gravitated towards little children and just like their world, the wonderment, the beautiful like openness, the fearlessness. I just love it.
Yeah, you're a kid person.
Oh, look at that picture. That's so sweet.
Oh, I love that.
That's cute.
There's a Lucy in it too.
Yeah.
I mean, speaking of wonderment, you're at an amusement park, so.
Yeah, that's California Adventure.
Yeah.
Have you been there?
I don't think so.
It's across from Disneyland.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe then. I don't know. I mean, I haven't been to Disneyland in
Jordi's
decades.
and I never was. which is funny
Yeah.
because I don't even think I knew I wanted to be a mom.
Mm-hmm.
And thank God it happened the way that it did.
Yeah.
Because
and he said 99% only 3.
Yeah, I mean, honestly,
Yeah.
if the pregnancy was so crazy,
Yeah.
I don't think that I could put anybody that loves us through that again. I don't think, and honestly, I think the reason it'll be 3 is because I don't think we could put the kids through that again.
Yeah.
Because I went into labor with Lucy at 18 weeks. So, and then I was on bed rest from then until 36 weeks. But that whole time between 18 weeks and 24 weeks, because 24 weeks is like technically viability. But I was having contractions. Like I was like in labor the entirety of the pregnancy.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, I think the hardest part was until 24 weeks because the kids had been feeling her like moving in my belly. And I knew like if this goes the other way, they're going to have to experience this loss.
Yeah.
That whereas, you know, the first miscarriage, Riley knew about.
Right.
And she took it so hard that when I had the second miscarriage, we were like, there's absolutely, if we can keep this from her, we're going to. Which she still doesn't know about. And I feel like at some point we're going to have to tell her because it's on the internet.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like that's the only reason that we wouldn't. But
I didn't realize 18 weeks.
18 weeks.
I mean, were the two, there must have been so much fear in both of you for all of that time.
I was a basket case.
Yeah, we I have to say we had an amazing OB. Dr. Guile over at Women's Care of Beverly Hills is like,
we want to be friends with him.
Yeah, he's like a bro. He's like you're in his office and he's like super enthusiastic, young guy. Went to Johns Hopkins University, wrote the manual for obstetrics. It's on his desk.
But like super humble. You would never know.
Super humble and just he has like a fan club at Cedars Beverly Hills. Like all the nurses.
All the kids he's helped birth.
Yes.
We thought that we had like this amazing thing going with him that was just for us.
Right.
I was like, I think he wants to be friends with us. I think we're gonna like go out to dinner with him and his wife. And then Jordi met somebody else whose wife also delivered with him. And he was like, how cool is Dr. Guile? He's just the best, right? And Jordi and I were like, oh, we're not that special. He's like that with everybody. But no, we had an doctor, but it was funny because when we had Lucy, Dr. Guile walked into the delivery room and my mom and my sister and my sister's boyfriend were leaving and Jordi was coming in because I was about to deliver. And Dr. Guile was saying to my mom, man, that was really, really touch and go for a while, right? Man, I was really freaking out on that one. But the entire pregnancy, he was like, you're fine. It's fine. Yeah. Relax. It's fine. Yeah. So he was an angel through all of it. Yeah. But I was definitely like, I went to bed every night up until that 24-week mark thinking my water's going to break tonight. There's no way I'm not going to wake up and my water's going to break. And I had a hard time and he really had to hold down the fort with the kids, with Riley and Evie to like really, try to keep the happy and the joy and try to keep me positive and calm because contractions get worse when you're stressed. Yeah. That hormone, which I went like through this whole internet search of what I had going on, which was my cervix was incompetent cervix. So I searched it and I joined all these groups on Facebook, like support groups. Don't do it. Don't do it. No, don't do it. So I'm like looking at like these pictures and these experiences and the next time the doctor, I told them and they were like, you're getting off those right now. Yeah. Because stress is like a huge thing. Yeah. So you had to keep me calm and faithful, honestly. Yeah. Because I will say my faith was a little shaky.
Yeah, we had go ahead.
Yeah, go.
No, I was going to say I have a friend and a fan of my work, Joanne Kopinski, I believe. She was just at Samantha's Friends, and she gave me.
She's an angel.
She's an angel. She gave me a bottle of holy water that I would rub on her belly every day, pretty much, and just I don't know. I believe that gave us some thanks.
A fan from where?
From Tampa. She's in Tampa.
But I mean, from which show? Do you know?
All of them. I think she followed me on YNR. But she's a big, Samantha's Friends, the charity that we were just at. She's just amazing. She's always there. She's volunteering. She helps out so much, and she's just like, she's a breath of fresh air. She's just lovely.
Well, you just mentioned, faith, and that was actually my question, because when Lucy was hospitalized and you both posted, you were asking, for prayers, which I think is, the power of, there's a lot of bad about social media, but,
For sure.
In those moments, I think it's a helpful tool. So, what has faith and that kind of power meant to both of you?
Specifically in that example, I cannot tell you the calm and the peace that we felt after we posted about her being in the NICU. And my mom was calling me saying, so-and-so's praying for you, so-and-so's praying. And I was like, I literally feel the prayers. And honestly, I felt the same way when we posted about the cerclage, because that was our pregnancy announcement, was, hey, we're pregnant. I'm having the surgery. We're not sure if the baby's going to make it. And the amount of prayer and like support, but prayer specifically, and the calm that it brought us was a game changer.
Yeah.
For sure, for me. And just faith in general. Yeah.
Well, yeah. And also like Lucy, the name Lucy, Katie, about 7 years ago?
Yeah, I've had such weird health
She had a severe dry eye. Like she thought she was going blind.
Everybody thought I was going like blind in my left eye. It turned out I was sleeping with my eye open. Apparently
you were looking for somebody. You were watching out.
But I said.
But for a few weeks, they couldn't figure out what was going on. They just thought I was losing my vision in my left eye.
So I said, let's, I grew up Catholic. My whole family's Catholic. I've had, grandparents and great aunts just like hand me down prayers throughout the years. And I remember there were these things in Catholic faith called novenas, which are 9-day prayers. And I said, let's pray to the Saint Lucy, the patron saint of eyes. And we were sitting outside of the doctor's office on Riverside, and you were having a really hard time.
Sounds crazy. Yes, the story sounds
really
crazy,
hard time,
yes.
And like really desperate. And I said, let's just pray it. And we prayed it, and like from 1 minute to the next, you could see.
Well, because we had gone to Starbucks before, and I couldn't see the whole wall of the items or whatever.
Yeah.
And then we prayed it in the car, and then went into the doctor, and my eye was significantly better when I went. It sounds crazy. I told Jordi, I was like, I don't even want to tell people the story because it sounds so crazy.
So then I always
Lucy.
felt inclined to that name, and now we have little Lucy.
Tony, who is watching, his name is Tony. As you were explaining St. Lucy, he was writing St. Lucy is a saint to pray for problems of the eye. Tony knows everything. He was writing it as you were saying.
All right,
the novena is beautiful too.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, as you were saying it. Both of you, what has surprised you the most about motherhood and fatherhood?
For me, how much I love it. It's
everything.
It's everything. It is. It's everything.
I think the threshold.
You can have the beer afterwards. You both said it at the same time.
I think it's the threshold of love that you just like. I always kind of worried. I was like, oh my God, how am I going to love 3 girls equally? And you just do, and it's the threshold for the capacity to love, not just your own kids, but like other people. I think you become more empathetic to others in their situation, in their own trials. In this world of social media where people are putting out there what you want them to see, you can create these narratives in your brain that's like, oh my God, look how good they have it or what have you. But then when you really get to know people and see that they have their own struggles along with their own successes, but they have struggles. It's like I feel more connected, more empathetic.
Yeah, I also feel like it shifts the perspective, right? About like what's the most important thing, what matters.
Yeah.
And it gives us, I feel like, that depth, because it is a crazy business. And, I feel like it's such a business of up and downs that you could.
We've lost a lot of people in daytime this year, and I wonder at times the slings and arrows that they're thrown in the business. I wonder if that affected their mental health.
For sure.
No, in the mental health for sure, but on top of that, we've lost a lot to cancer as well. We've lost to mental health. We've lost a lot to cancer.
We've lost a lot, and this if this becomes your identity, this career, and like your purpose, that's a tough one. That can eat at you. And I've gone through it. When I've lost jobs, I've gone jobs, and made it this thing that I put on a pedestal. It's a
kids
job.
Keep you grounded.
The kids keep me grounded. My family keeps me grounded. It also can really strengthen the work in a lot of ways. After you have kids, you have these emotions that are much more accessible.
I was just going to say, you just got emotional earlier while we were speaking. It just brings your emotions.
When this guy asked me about fatherhood, I was like, oh,
it does. It brings it to the forefront. It brings your, emotions. Before I forget, everyone is wishing you both, or Kaitlin wishing you, everyone's saying hello to Jordi, and everyone's wishing you a happy Mother's Day before I forget. Raising children to me now has got to be just scary in a lot of ways as well. What scares you most, in just what you see in our world?
I'll say, well, I feel like you can only control what's going on in these walls, right? That and school was a big thing, moving them from public school to the Catholic school. I'm so grateful we were able to do that. But I will say we're struggling with something right now, which we haven't quite figured out, but it's the phone.
Yeah, I was bringing that up.
Yeah, it's the phone. And Riley went to Astro Camp. It was like a 3-day trip with her class. Did you tell them that?
No, I didn't tell them that.
And we let her, my sister gave her her old phone, and then we let her keep it afterwards. And granted, we don't let her go on TikTok and whatever, but they also find ways around things. I didn't realize there were YouTube shorts. So it's basically TikTok.
Yeah. Also
on Pinterest, there's TikTok videos. So I'm thinking she's looking at decor pins, and so I think
they are much more advanced than
they're very savvy. They're very savvy. I think we're probably gonna have to pull that, which we don't want to, but we know that's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
So trying to keep the outside world out, I think, is what we know that we have to do, because it was hard when we were kids. I know the ththings that, especially as a girl, that I struggled with. And we chatted with Riley about this the other day.
What did she bring up that you would?
Riley has a bit of a superstitious thing going, where she gets nervous before bedtime. So she has a little routine that she's doing that we're is this fine, or is this
right?
So there was something that she wanted to do, and we were like, Riley, no, because we've got to help you control your thoughts, and know that reality is reality, because otherwise, it made me think eating disorders.
Yes.
Because you have such a skewed perception of reality when you have an eating disorder, and all of these things that I think his eyes the other night at dinner were oh God, what are we even?
No, I was actually and I told you this, I was so impressed by the way that you were able to articulate that to her. And it really resonated with me sitting there, and I could tell it was resonating with her. So whatever that was, you keep doing that, because that was not coming out of my mouth. And it was
I think how you are able to interpret what is possibly going on with them, and how you are, as Jordi said, you were articulating it well, but those are the important conversations that someday they'll be being interviewed by somebody, and they will remember that you said that to them.
Maybe. I hope so. I hope. My mom always says, my mom's big thing is everybody's like, your kids are so wonderful. You're so wonderful. My mom's always like, I'm just really glad I didn't screw it up. And I get that now a bit, because they're just so precious, and you just want to shield them, but also empower them.
Right. You gotta let them,
Well, that's interesting. Talking about some of what's going on in our world, I think you see how some people act, and I think so much of it does start at home and where it's learned. And you are helping to guide the future, those 3 future young women,
Thank God.
to be good human beings. And you come from good human beings. So I get it. Before I let you go, I had reached out to fans because I would never have worked at Guiding Light if my mother didn't introduce me to Guiding Light and As the World Turns. My mother learned to speak English watching the 2 shows. The 2 shows I ended up working for.
You still around, Alan? Your mom?
No, she didn't see this. That breaks my heart. A week next Thursday, it'll be 17 years since she's gone.
Oh my goodness. So sorry.
But she, I know this would make her very proud. But did you grow up watching soaps, Bailey? Kayla, sorry.
That's okay. Yeah, I feel like a lot of people know this because I've talked about it.
Yeah, you might have.
It's kind of creepy. My grandmother introduced me. I was like in the little baby swing watching As the World Turns and Guiding Light. And I continued watching it. My mom always watched it, Y&R too. So I literally would run home in high school and watch him as Tony. And
I probably heard that before. Oh, wow. I did.
Maybe. I don't know. But everybody should know this. And I loved him. And I literally watched him win his Emmy. And he thanked his girlfriend at the time. Her name was Kate. And I remember being like, who is this? Kate? Who is this Kate character who's running lines with him? Yeah. But then we had the same manager. Because Jordi's from Miami. I'm from Fort Lauderdale. We had the same manager. And when I came out here for the premiere of Monster, the Charlize Theron movie that I did when I was younger, she was like, do you want to meet Jordi? So that was when I met Jordi, but I had been watching him on TV.
I didn't realize it. I'm so, I so happy that it's your grandmother, because I'm going to, after I let you 2 go, I'm going to share some messages from the fans. And they share, similar stories, mother or grandmother, or,
it's I think
somebody was in the womb, and
for sure. And when he was with Sharon, I had literally watched Sharon and Nick since I was like in high school. Yeah, that's crazy.
That's so funny.
I think it's great. I kind of wish we just had regular TV. Although I don't know if we would have the kids watching it. Would we have them watching it? Maybe not. Maybe we would.
But if you were watching it, that's it wasn't like my mom introduced me. It was just she had the TV on, and that was
she had it on. Yeah. Oh, I remember ironing, watching Guiding Light.
So
I got super.
My dad
looking at your Instagram earlier. One of the actors, he played Philip. I think. Yeah. Oh my God. I saw him and I was like, oh my God. I'll never forget New York. We used to go to New York every summer to do commercials. My mom and my sister and I. And we ran into Josh, who played, what's his name in real life?
Robert Newman.
On the street in New York.
I saw
and
Y&R.
you would have thought that it was embarrassing how excited we were.
Oh, yeah. When I interviewed Robert, he mentioned about you 2 sitting down and having a great conversation, I think.
That was nice. You guys you didn't work together, but at the same time, right?
Yeah.
And then my mom, Vincent, was at Riley's first birthday party. Yeah. Oh my God, my mom lost her mind. Yeah.
I mean, I said I've known him, since I'm 18 or 19, because I loved, that was really the heyday. Like I was a fan then.
It was so good.
So good.
So good.
That was a
So
great
good.
show. Reba, Josh.
Oh.
Yeah, just
oh my
great.
God, you too. I love you too. Thank you so much for doing this.
I could talk to you all day.
Yeah. We'll have to see
I would
each
love
other.
to see you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope one day in person. I hope to get out there.
Yeah.
I hope to get out there. Happy Mother's Day. Enjoy it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And I'm going to talk to the fans.
All right. We love you guys.
Thank you. Bye, guys. Wow, Cassandra, 23 years on May 16th that your mom passed away. I'm so sorry. My mom, it'll be 17 years on that day. So I wanted to share some of the beautiful messages you all shared. You know, as Mother's Day approaches, I wanted to pay tribute to all the moms and grandmothers and parents who introduced us to the soaps we loved, we followed, and that we all miss. Aaron Wallace said, soap operas have been a part of my life since my childhood. I cherish the memories of my great-grandmother Nana, Mom, and me chatting about our stories. Some of my best memories, it's that love that led me to create my own soaps. T-End podcast and Old Cove podcast. We were always discussing Days and asking, did you watch Days? Now it's just Mom and me, but we continue the tradition. And here's Aaron and I believe both Mom and grandmother, Nana. And Kelly Curtis Martin said, I was watching soaps in the womb, Search for Tomorrow, Young and the Restless, As the World Turns, and my favorite, Guiding Light. I, too, lost my mom back in 2009. It was our thing to always watch Guiding Light together. Even after I moved out on my own, we would tape it daily and have a Guiding Light night and get caught up. We'd laugh, cry, and throw popcorn at the screen. Terry 5767 says, I remember watching the ABC soaps since I was a young child. I remember going to grandma's house with my mom and watching General Hospital. That is the one grandma watched. I still remember the black and white TV days. My mom's show was All My Children, and that ended up being my favorite too. I lived not far from my school for a few years in my elementary days, and I'd run home to watch it with my mom during lunch. In the early 70s, I looked forward to holidays so I could catch All My Children. When I was in high school, if something great like a wedding or other big event, I'd feign sickness just to stay home and watch. As I got older, I also got into watching One Life to Live since I was home raising my own babies. Often my kids would watch ABC soaps with me. Of course, they didn't let on that they were watching, but I could tell. My husband would complain that I got them hooked on soaps if there was a good storyline on when he was off from work for a good stretch of time. I feel like we all have so many of the same stories. Tracy Kitchen says, my grandma loved her CBS stories too. One day, grandma got so involved in a show that she forgot she had put a home perm in my hair. For years afterward, my hair got curly when it was wet. I believe this is Tracy right here with her mom. Grandmother, sorry, not mom. Kate says, I remember growing up sitting on mom's bed and watching As the World Turns with her as she ironed. Her mother, my grandmother, would call and ask, what's Lisa up to now? And it was something we could share. Good times. My college roommates and I would put a do not disturb sign on the door for story time. We'd make popcorn, great bonding. I transferred to another school and my new roommate loved Guiding Light. I eventually was more Guiding Light than As the World Turns. And, one second. PJ Moneybags says, sorry, I just lost my place. I lost my mom to spinal cancer on May 8th, 1981. It will be a wonderful day when no one else will have to lose their loved ones to cancer. Amen to that, PJ. My mom was a working mom, so she never really watched a lot of the soaps until she became ill. We watched together then. My grandmother was with me during the day while my mom worked, and she got me hooked on Guiding Light and As the World Turns. I lost her in 1979. I remember the last storyline we watched together involved Alan, Elizabeth, Jackie, and Justin keeping the secret of Philip's paternity. Her favorite was Elizabeth for Alan. I named my first son Justin after Justin Marlar. And here's PJ and her mom or grandmother right there. And Cynthia Jarvis Martin says, my mom and I watched Guiding Light together the summer of 1988. I won tickets for a group lunch with the one and only Kim Zimmer, and we went together near Fort Lauderdale. My mom passed the following November, and I was glad to have this among my many memories. Here they are with Kim. Daniela Gulohaney says, in 1989, I lost my place. Sorry, guys. In 1989, I won a trip to New York City also to visit the set of Guiding Light through a radio contest. I was 21 at the time, and I took my mom. We both loved Guiding Light. Thinking back to the two of us flying to New York City, taking a taxi and getting around the city, it was an amazing accomplishment, but we had a great time and great pictures. We lived Guiding Light and still missed a show. I am 55 now, and my mom is 76. She just had a liver transplant in July of 2023 and is having a difficult time with it. Her mother's name is Dara Lynn. Dara Lynn, I hope you are feeling well. Thank you for introducing the soaps and watching the soaps. I hope you continued health. Travis Kinsey said, long before I ever watched soaps myself, we had a woman who cleaned our house and always watched Y&R in the early 80s while she worked. Then in high school, when I was well aware of the soaps, the cleaning lady who cleaned the classrooms after school let out, whose name was Cookie, I think, had a portable TV on her car and watched General Hospital every day. It was during the Casey Alien storyline. My mom told me she used to watch Ryan's Hope and All My Children before I was born and when I was a toddler before she went back to work. Pat Parker says, my mom started watching the NBC soaps, The Doctors, Days of Our Lives, Another World in 1968 when she was pregnant with me. My earliest memories are being on spring break 1975 from kindergarten, asking who the old man was, Mac, that Rachel was now married to, and what happened to Steve Frame. My mom was especially fond of the Rachel Mac Irish Triangle, and she and her female friends often laughed about Iris's exploits. She also watched Ryan's Hope and All My Children for a couple of years, and who can forget Phoebe getting drunk and spilling the beans. She followed Beverly McKinsey to Guiding Light and watched that show faithfully until the end. She also still records The Young and the Restless and somewhat watches Days of Our Lives. And lastly, Nicholas Yekel says, I think if I pronounce that correctly, I think I've relayed this story before, but since I had mentioned the day that President Reagan was shot, I'd mention it again. I was living with my grandparents, and even though only in the first grade, I was hooked on Guiding Light. The big surprise in the Jennifer Richards trial was going to happen that day, and my grandmother had my audio tape recorder prepped and ready right there in front of the TV to record the sound so I'd at least be able to hear what happened. Well, Reagan was shot and it preempted the show. Thankfully, CBS aired the verdict a week later in a flashback Alan had, and I happened to be home from school that day and saw it live. I was close to my mother and grandmother while my mother still watches soaps and grandma is gone. It's the connection, watching them, even when I was supposed to be napping at my grandmother's, that I cherish most. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention we religiously watched Dallas and Falcon Crest together and later Melrose Place. I wanted to be Alan Spaulding as long as he was played by Chris Bruneau and possibly the former Max Dubajack, Daniel Pilon, or Roger Thorpe some days. Though in hindsight, I probably had a crush on Alan and Nola when she was with Quint on other days. And life was greatly influenced by the soaps of the early 1980s. I think of Grandma and wonder if she's watching Guiding Light, and for that which soaps continue to give me in memories. I'll always be grateful to the producers, writers, actors, and everyone involved. Makes me want to be laying on my grandmother's couch, peeking from underneath the blanket where I'm supposed to be taking a nap, and watching Mike Bauer try to outwit Alan to no avail. Thank you, everybody, for sharing your memories. Really, what a community we've created. I wish all of the mothers out there a very happy Mother's Day. I want to thank Jordi and Kaitlin Vilasuso for spending this hour with all of us. I just adore them. And please join me next Wednesday when actor Doug Wirt, who you will remember from As the World Turns, One Life to Live, and The Young and the Restless. And don't forget, since we've been speaking about cancer, Michael Fairman and I will host Daytime Stands Up, a benefit for Stand Up to Cancer on Thursday, May 16th from 8 to 11 p.m. Eastern. We have stars from As the World Turns and Guiding Light and Days of Our Lives and General Hospital and One Life to Live and The Young and the Restless and The Bold and the Beautiful joining us to take a stand and to stand up to cancer. Have a great weekend, everybody. Please, as always, I hope you all stay safe.